Oh, you're still here now. Let's delve into that happening in the global oil space. We have financial derivatives company analyst with us, Bolanle Agbaji, joining us here in the studio. Hi, Bolanle. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you. What's happening with oil? Threats of recession.
Yes, the PMI
The
index.
PMI.
Yes.
But PMI in Nigeria, according to Stanbic, went up compared to last year. I was surprised when I saw global PMI is down, but the one in Nigeria is up.
Yeah, it's dependent on what your manufacturing, sector is doing. And I'm sure, for the past few months, the manufacturing sector in Nigeria has tried, even with all what's going on in the economy, to rise up above the challenges. But obviously, in other parts of the world, we're seeing the PMI index actually decline.
Especially in Asia.
Yes, and obviously
you
have the COVID situation, you have the lockdowns. And this was the same situation we had in 2020 as well. And obviously, that is obviously affecting the demand, or the demand pressure for oil prices.
I guess it's even worse now because of the war, the supply chain disruption, and all that.
But at the same time, usually before an OPEC meeting, you either have a situation where oil prices either go up or go down. And it's just because, investors are trying to anticipate what, OPEC Plus members would be doing. And at this time, obviously, we expect like a moderate increase in output. And that's just because we're seeing this situation in Asia, Europe, and the US as well. So I'm sure they will take that into consideration. We don't expect any significant increase in output for September.
Yeah, I know that President Biden has been trying to convince Saudi Arabia to get them to boost supply, but everybody has a limit, I think.
Yeah, and also because the IMF, the World Bank, so many agencies have highlighted, the risk of a global recession happening. And if you have those risks looming, I don't think it will make sense for the OPEC Plus members to actually increase output, because at some point, by the time demand falls below what they had expected or forecasted, it would definitely hinder oil prices even much further.
And even in the US, getting investment into the oil sector now is difficult.
It's very,
Investors
very
are deciding to hold back and just watch
because
and
you have a situation where you have high interest rates, you have high inflationary environment. It's not really favorable for such investments at the moment. It's going to be very expensive.
But there's still windfall for these oil companies. BP has just released 3 times the profits of last year.
Yes, of course, because the change in oil prices has been significant. So you definitely expect, those that have already invested or had invested in the past would benefit definitely from it. And it just calls to question why, Nigeria is still not benefiting from this increases in oil prices.
Honestly, that's a sour spot.
Yes, it's definitely going to be affecting our exchange rates.
And our excess crude
account, and also the fact that, there is just no money, no dollar coming into the country at the moment. I think we saw an appreciation of the exchange rates as at
yesterday.
Yes.
I don't know if it's gone back. You guys are predicting that by the end of the week it will be back. Was it artificial? Was it real?
No, I'm sure it was real in the sense that, any small changes in the markets, I'm sure there was maybe an increased release or releasing the amount of dollars in the market. But we do expect that, this particular price would depreciate back to about 700 naira.
When we recorded a dip in the external reserve, I mean, some people had said that it was the CBN
releasing
definitely.
That whenever
into
you have
markets.
A situation where the reserves actually falls, it means that they've pulled, some money out and they've probably used it to satisfy the demand for dollars.
Maybe that's why we saw that little bit of...
Yes, definitely.
Wow, I just hope, we can do the right thing. But we see supermarkets switching to local products.
Yes,
that's one right thing.
Yes, I would call that forced import substitution in any sense, because it's a situation where their hands are tied. They have no choice.
Let's continue tightening these hands.
Yes, but
because that's good for us. It's good for the naira. It's good for the economy.
Yes, ordinarily it's good. All things equal, it's good. But in any case, if you have a situation where you're seeing increased demand for local products, but then you're not seeing that support from the government, and the business environment has not been eased, it's not going to translate into higher economic growth. Everything has to work hand in hand. So it's best for the government to take advantage of this situation. Like, you're seeing the price of coffee, for example, increasing significantly, and Nigeria is obviously one of the coffee producers in Africa, but this hasn't increased from from the time when, you know, we hadn't really focused on oil. But obviously more of that to come in the next, the afternoon segment.
I think there was, exactly, I think there was a new variety of coffee then and all that. I wonder if we're really boosting that.
I think the major variety that Nigeria produces will be Robusta, although there is increasing production of Arabica as well. But generally, coffee production within Nigeria is facing a lot of challenges. A lot of the farmers are old, you know, so you don't have new entrants into that market. And some of the farmers also complain about the soil texture. It's not necessarily favorable. There are no nutrients, you know, and all of this requires significant amount of investment. There's no support in that space, and I don't think, you know, without that support, I don't think any private individual.
And now the government is broke, so where will the supports come from?
Exactly. So it's a terrible situation for us.
And still talking about cocoa, we have Ghana regulator, cocoa board.
Yes, yes. So, you know, a lot of the farmers in Ghana and Ivory Coast have complained about the fact that they're actually not benefiting from, you know, the increase in cocoa prices. And at some point, a few years back, I think before COVID, we had seen a situation where they created a price floor for, you know, the cocoa prices in such a way that these prices don't fall beyond a certain level, so that the farmers can actually...
They peg the price.
Yeah, so the farmers can actually benefit. But I don't think this has affected or improved the living standards of these farmers. So all of that they're doing is just trying to make sure that the prices that the cocoa are being sold for, the farmers actually benefit.
That reminds me of a scenario that I think here in Nigeria, the government tried to stop a direct communication between the foreigners and I think it was the miners in our own situation, so that they are not exploited. But then the introduction of middlemen can also be a problem.
It can also be a problem because when you introduce middlemen, you're obviously increasing the prices as well. And most times what happens is the middlemen try to take most of the profit because obviously transporting or trying to get the particular product from the farmers, you know, from the soil to the final consumers is actually quite expensive. So they try to, you know, benefit from it and take most of the profit out of it. And
then we have this good news from the war, at least. The first ship left yesterday from Odessa. I mean, I was so relieved because even the day after the agreement, there was an attack. And then I think 2 days after, there was another attack. So we're like, is this really going to work?
So it's extremely good news for us in the sense that I think that particular shipment contains about 26,000 metric tons of corn. So at least, you know, it's a step in the right direction. The price of corn, by the time it reaches, you know, the destination, we do hope that it definitely brings down...
Do we know the destination, though?
We're not... I don't think we're really sure of what it... But it will definitely go to Europe for the bulk of it. And, you know, that should obviously bring down the global price of corn.
Isn't that being too expectant too soon?
Well, they've mentioned that they obviously have 16 vessels that are waiting
in 120 days. The agreement is for 3 months.
Yeah, so I'm sure that it's something that they would push for. And also they're waiting to obviously sign contracts for more vessels to be moved from Ukraine to other parts of the world. So I think it's something we have to... The thing about, you know, countries like that, it's just the war that had prevented, you know, that. Once that's risk is out of the way, or, you know, Russia has agreed not to hinder, you know, the movements of these vessels, then I don't think the government will do all it can to support.
Yeah, because they also need
it. They need the forex as well.
Yeah, so they need it. But you know, they lost it. I think they call him a chief grainer or something like that yesterday. That was killed.
Yes.
The first day that
well, you know, all of that is bad news for the particular products. But at the same time, you know, in the Western world, they don't allow things like that, you know, lock them down for so long. I'm sure they'll definitely find, you know, new people to more or less boost the production of that particular product.
Yeah, I think Ukraine is very determined because
they're extremely determined.
Yeah, they've had a lot of setback. If they were to follow some of those setbacks, the attacks and things like that, I don't think the ship would have left yesterday.
And you'll be surprised, once all of this dies down, it would only take them a few months to a year to actually get their country back up, and that's just what they do.
But the process is still really long because they have to check I mean, Russia is very suspicious of everything.
Yes.
Check for weapons in the
And
grains.
all
I
of
saw some
that.
pictures of how they were checking for weapons in
sure
the grain to make sure that nothing is being shipped.
Yes.
And then they have to avoid the mines on the Black Sea, so they have to take another route and things like that.
It's a very sad situation where we are. We don't know when the war would actually stop. Russia seems resilient when it comes to, you know, pushing for this war to keep going on. But all we can do as Nigerians is just keep our fingers crossed. We have no, you know, say or any input in what happens. All we just have to do is take advantage of the little changes that we can get, the little positive changes that we can get from both countries.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could really dive in, you know, and do a lot of planting, at least have a plan that is being implemented, you know, and
the existing, you know, farmers, the existing value chain that is already there in Nigeria would probably take advantage of this increased demand from supermarkets, from different consumers around the world, around the country. So we just have to hope that, you know, at least we can more or less get a bit of, you know, economic growth from this increased demand.
I think one thing to celebrate is the supermarket switching to local products. And
yes,
I do hope that it stays.
And I do hope that we can actually match the quality that that they're demanding.
No, that's another story.
Yes.
Then we also see that sugar stocks are up.
Yes, sugar stocks are up. You know, you have the increased demand in India. You have the increased supply as well in major of the high-producing countries. So obviously that has translated to increase in sugar stock. But what that means is whenever you have increase in supply of sugar, we do expect that the prices, you know, drop. And
where are we in the exports?
For sugar, I think we're there, and we have potential to, you know, increase.
Always have potential.
We always have potential, but I think in Africa we should be one of the top 5. And also, you know, you have the fact that Dangote is doing so much to increase production of sugar to match, and obviously he's doing a lot with the quality of sugar, and also the fact that Nigerians actually support, you know, the consumption of Dangote sugar is something that
that's another local product.
That's another local product. You see it everywhere. I think everyone actually is comfortable with consuming Dangote sugar.
I think if the quality of local products are there, Nigerians will actually just, you know,
and also more importantly,
because personally, I try when I go to supermarket these days, I try to do the locals. I mean, I mean, we can't just come and talk and not do anything about it, you know. I go to supermarket, I try to tell myself, do the locals, at least do your little quota. It might not be so much, but you never can tell.
So you're one of the few supportive civilians in any sense.
I believe you are too.
Yes, I am actually. But, you know, for me, it's also about the quality. You don't want to be consuming what is not, you know, up to par when it comes to quality. I think that's where I draw the line. But for those that have actually been able to match, you know, that quality, like I have no problem consuming, you know, Dangote sugar. And it's you know, he has been able to, you know, meet the quality, but at the same time, you know, it required significant amount of investment, you know, in technology, in the value chain that would actually match up to this quality.
Yeah, and then you still have the operational cost that the manufacturers
and which is continuously increasing.
Where is diesel these days?
Well, diesel, I think it's still about almost 800 naira per liter, but it hasn't changed or moved. You know, you have some, I think it doesn't go below 780 these days. But it seems like people have stopped talking about it.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to say. Manufacturers seem to have adjusted the price in the high cost.
Yes, one thing Nigerians do well is more or less complain in the meantime and then adjust and keep it moving.
And keep it moving. We never give up. Very resilient.
Yes, we are.
All right, Bolanle Agbaje, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We do hope to have at least a bit more good news.
Yes.
And we do hope it happened. And I guess we also have to speak to the Standards Organization of Nigeria.
Yes, definitely.
You know, Standards Organization of Nigeria, please.
Make it easy.
Make it easy for us to switch to Nigeria-made products. We really want to save this Naira. So if we have good quality products, more Nigerians will switch to locally made products, and then there will be less demand for Forex, and the Naira will have a bit more strength. So please do help us.